It started as just another magical night on The Tonight Show until Taylor Swift heard three words that made her stop mid-sentence and changed everything. Studio 6B was pulsing with electric energy. Tonight, Taylor Swift was back to discuss her latest re-recorded album. The New York City skyline glittered through the massive windows, creating the perfect backdrop for what everyone expected would be another enchanting conversation. The audience was a sea of sparkling outfits, friendship bracelets, and faces glowing with pure joy. Jimmy had been looking forward to this interview for weeks. Taylor always brought something special to the show. What nobody noticed was the family in row 5. Maria Santos, 16 years old, sat in her purple sequin dress with her parents Carlos and Isabel and sister Sophia, all containing their excitement while carrying the weight of what they knew but Maria didn't. Maria had been battling leukemia for 18 months. The treatment had stolen her hair, energy, and her 15th and 16th birthday celebrations, both spent in hospital rooms, too weak to celebrate. Today was Maria's actual 16th birthday, October 15th, and for the first time in months, her blood counts were strong enough for her to leave the hospital. The Tonight Show tickets had been a gift from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, but Maria didn't know her family had been secretly coordinating with the show's producers for weeks. In Maria's lap sat a small wrapped gift, a hand-painted picture of her and Taylor that she'd made during chemotherapy sessions. The show opened flawlessly. Jimmy's monologue was sharp and heartwarming. When he introduced Taylor Swift, the applause was thunderous. Taylor walked onto the stage in an elegant lavender dress, hugged Jimmy warmly, and settled into the guest chair. "Taylor Swift, everybody," Jimmy said, settling behind his wooden desk. "Thank you so much for being here. I have to start by saying, your new album deals with so many themes about growing up, about milestone moments. What draws you to write about those pivotal life experiences?" Taylor smiled, that genuine smile that had endeared her to millions. "You know, Jimmy, I think there's something magical about those moments that mark time in our lives. Birthdays, graduations, first loves, even difficult passages. They're the moments that teach us who we are and who we want to become." As Taylor spoke, her eyes naturally scanned the audience, a habit she'd developed from years of performing, always trying to connect with individual faces in the crowd. That's when she noticed something that made her pause mid-thought. Maria, in row 5, wearing purple sequins, but more than that, Taylor noticed the way the family was positioned around her, protective and celebratory. There was something about their energy that spoke to Taylor beyond words. "Actually, Jimmy," Taylor said, her voice shifting to a more personal register, "I'm seeing something beautiful in the audience right now that's making me think about the power of celebration, especially when those celebrations mean everything." Jimmy looked curious but trusting. Taylor rarely deviated from their planned conversation, but when she did, magic usually followed. Taylor stood up and walked toward the edge of the stage, her eyes finding Maria again. The young lady in row 5 in the beautiful purple dress. "You're practically glowing. Is there something special about tonight for you?" Maria's eyes went wide with shock. She looked around frantically, pointing to herself with a confused expression that was part terror, part absolute joy. The audience turned to look at her, and she felt her heart race with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. "Yes, you," Taylor said gently, her voice carrying that warmth that had comforted millions through difficult times. "There's something about your energy tonight. What's your name?" Maria slowly stood up, her legs feeling unsteady, not from illness but from pure shock. "Maria," she said, her voice barely audible even with the studio's advanced sound system. "Maria Santos." "Maria," Taylor repeated, and something in the way she said the name suggested she'd already noticed something special about this moment. Maria, can I ask you something? Is today important for you in some way? Maria looked at her family, uncertainty in her eyes. Her parents nodded encouragingly, and Sophia gave her a thumbs up. It's my birthday, Maria said, her voice getting stronger. I'm 16 today. The studio erupted in spontaneous applause, but Taylor held up her hand gently, sensing there was more to this story. Your 16th birthday, Taylor said softly. That's a big one. Are you celebrating with your family tonight? Maria nodded, tears starting to form in her eyes. My family brought me here as a birthday present. It's the first time I've been able to leave the hospital in months. The studio fell completely silent. Even the Roots stopped their gentle background music. Jimmy felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't just an interview anymore. This was about to become something much more sacred. The hospital? Taylor asked gently, her voice filled with immediate understanding and compassion. I have leukemia, Maria said, her voice steady now, stronger with the truth spoken aloud. I missed my last 2 birthdays because of treatment. My family surprised me with tickets because today's the first day in a long time that I'm strong enough to be here. Taylor felt tears forming in her own eyes. She'd heard thousands of stories from fans over the years, but something about this moment, this brave young woman celebrating life in the face of such challenges, hit her differently. Maria, Taylor said, would you mind if I came up there and heard more about your story? I have a feeling you're pretty extraordinary. Jimmy immediately understood what was happening. Taylor, go, he said without hesitation. We'll wait. Taylor Swift, one of the biggest stars in the world, left the stage and walked into the audience. The cameras followed her, but everyone in the studio somehow understood that this wasn't about getting good television. This was about something more important than entertainment. Taylor reached Maria's row, and the people around them shifted to make space. She sat down in the empty seat next to Maria, and for a moment, the most famous musician in the world was just another person wanting to celebrate a brave teenager's birthday. Tell me about your treatment, Taylor said simply. How long have you been fighting? Maria's composure wavered, but she held strong. 18 months. It's been really hard. I missed school, friends, birthdays, concerts, everything normal teenagers do. Taylor reached over and gently took Maria's hand. And today you chose to spend your 16th birthday here with us. My family chose, Maria said, looking at her parents with pure love. They said music has always helped me through the hardest days, and they wanted my birthday to be about joy instead of hospitals. Behind the scenes, Jimmy made a decision that would define this moment forever. He walked down from the stage and joined Taylor and Maria in the audience, abandoning every protocol of television production. Maria, Jimmy said gently, kneeling in the aisle beside their row, can I ask what's been the hardest part about fighting cancer as a teenager? Maria looked thoughtful for a moment, missing out on all the normal things. Like all my friends got to celebrate their sweet 16s with parties and dancing and feeling beautiful. I've spent mine in hospital gowns, feeling sick. Taylor felt something break open in her chest. This wasn't just about illness. This was about a young woman who'd been robbed of milestone moments, of the celebrations that mark growing up. Maria, Taylor said, what would your perfect 16th birthday celebration look like? Maria's eyes lit up for the first time since the conversation began. Honestly, just feeling normal for a few hours. Maybe dancing, maybe singing, feeling pretty, and celebrating with people who care about me. Taylor stood up suddenly, an idea forming that would surprise everyone, including herself. Maria, Taylor said, addressing not just her, but the entire studio. What if we gave you that birthday celebration right here, right now? Maria looked confused. What do you mean? Taylor turned to Jimmy. Jimmy, do we have any cake backstage? Jimmy's eyes immediately lit up with understanding. I think we can make that happen. And, Taylor continued, turning to address the entire audience, do we have 200 people here who would love to sing happy birthday to an incredibly brave young woman? The audience erupted in excited agreement, but Taylor wasn't finished. She reached into her purse and pulled out something small and sparkling. A delicate silver bracelet with a small charm that read, Maria, Taylor said, I want to give you something. This bracelet has been with me through every show, every recording session, every moment of my career for the past 3 years. It's my reminder that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Taylor gently placed the bracelet on Maria's wrist, right next to the hospital band she still wore. Now you have something from your treatment journey and something from your birthday celebration, Taylor said. And whenever you're scared or tired or feeling like giving up, you remember that you're fearless. You've already proven it. But Taylor had an even bigger surprise planned. Maria, Taylor said, I have one more birthday gift for you, but I need to ask the audience for help. She turned to face the 200 people in studios. Everyone, Maria Santos is 16 years old today. She spent the last 18 months fighting cancer with more courage than most adults will ever have. She's missed birthdays, missed celebrations, missed feeling like a normal teenager. Tonight, we're going to give her the Sweet 16 celebration she deserves. The audience was completely quiet, hanging on every word. I want everyone in this studio to stand up, Taylor continued. We're going to sing Happy Birthday to Maria, but not just any version. We're going to make it the most joyful, most celebratory, most love-filled happy birthday song that's ever been sung in this studio. What happened next was pure magic. 200 people stood up, Jimmy Fallon included, and began singing Happy Birthday to Maria Santos. But this wasn't just singing, this was celebration. People were clapping, swaying, putting their whole hearts into making one brave teenager feel loved. As they sang, Maria began to cry, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of overwhelming joy, of feeling celebrated, of experiencing the kind of milestone moment she'd thought cancer had stolen from her forever. When the song ended, the applause was thunderous, but Maria was laughing and crying at the same time. How does that feel? Taylor asked, sitting back down beside her. Like the best birthday I've ever had, Maria said, her voice strong and clear. Like feeling normal and special at the same time. But Taylor had one final surprise. Maria, Taylor said, I want to sing something for you. Not one of my songs, but something I wrote just now. Sitting here with you. Taylor began to sing, improvising a song about courage, about birthdays that matter, about the beauty of celebrating life even when life gets complicated. Her voice filled the studio with warmth and hope, and everyone present understood they were witnessing something unrepeatable. The song was simple but profound. 16 candles burning bright. Through the darkness, through the fight. Every birthday is a victory song. You've been brave, you've been strong. Fearless heart, fearless soul, making broken spirits whole. Happy birthday, beautiful girl. You're a light in this whole world. When Taylor finished, the silence lasted for several heartbeats before the audience erupted in the kind of applause that comes when people have witnessed something genuinely sacred. Maria was crying openly now, but so was almost everyone in the studio, including Jimmy, who had tears streaming down his face. Maria, Jimmy said, his voice thick with emotion, how do you feel right now? Like I understand why I had to go through everything I went through, Maria said, surprising everyone with the wisdom in her answer. Because it led me here, to this moment, to feeling this loved and celebrated. Taylor hugged Maria tightly, and in that embrace, something passed between them that transcended celebrity and fan. It was human connection, recognition of shared strength, acknowledgement that some battles make us more beautiful, not less. Maria Taylor said, "I want you to promise me something." "Anything," Maria replied. "Promise me you'll keep fighting, keep celebrating every birthday, every milestone, every small victory. Promise me you'll remember that you're fearless." "I promise," Maria said, touching the bracelet on her wrist. The show ended differently that night. Instead of the usual quick goodbye and credits, Jimmy made an announcement that would change how The Tonight Show approached celebrating life's precious moments. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice still emotional, "tonight we learned something important from Maria Santos. We learned that the most powerful celebrations aren't about perfect circumstances. They're about choosing joy, choosing love, choosing to mark the moments that matter, even when those moments come in the middle of life's biggest challenges." Taylor added her own message, still sitting with Maria and her family. "And we learned that sometimes the most beautiful birthdays aren't the ones we plan. They're the ones that remind us that being alive, being here, being celebrated by people who care about us, is the greatest gift of all." Maria Santos returned home to California the next day, but she left New York with something she hadn't had in 18 months. The unshakable knowledge that she was celebrated, loved, and that her life was worth fighting for. The Tonight Show episode featuring Maria's birthday celebration became one of the most watched segments in the show's history, not because of the celebrity factor, but because it reminded millions of viewers that the most important celebrations are the ones that happen when someone needs to feel loved. 6 months later, Maria's cancer went into remission. A year later, she was cancer-free. Taylor invited Maria to her next concert, dedicating a song to a fearless girl who taught me that the best birthdays happen when we choose to celebrate life. The silver Fearless bracelet never left Maria's wrist, and years later, when she became a pediatric oncology nurse, it reminded her to help other young people find courage in impossible challenges. Jimmy Fallon learned something that changed how he approached every show. Sometimes the most important conversations happen with people in the audience living extraordinary stories of courage and resilience. It wasn't just late-night television that night. It was a masterclass in how to celebrate life in the face of uncertainty, how to find joy in the middle of struggle, and how sometimes the most healing thing you can do for someone is simply acknowledge that their life is worth celebrating. Some birthdays change everything, and in Studio 6B, Maria Santos discovered that the most meaningful celebrations aren't about perfect health or perfect circumstances. They're about perfect love, shared with people who understand that every day above ground is a gift worth singing about.